Hi everybody, and welcome to the next episode here on We Go On. And today we're going to be talking about breast cancer. So over the past couple of days, I've been doing breast cancer awareness and trying to pick up where Lisa left off. And today we're going to talk about how when you're diagnosed with breast cancer, your marriage is over. I know that's a little bit of a harsh comment there, but let's talk through that a little bit. So statistically speaking, no, your marriage is not over with the diagnosis of breast cancer, specifically metastatic breast cancer. Statistically, it looks about the same regardless. However, let's talk about what that actually means. So what I mean when I say your marriage is over, and the reason that I'm doing a video instead of just posting this written, is that your whole dynamic changes. You're no longer a husband and wife. A lot of the things that you go through in a marriage when you're talking about, intimacy, you're talking about hope for the future, all of that stuff really goes out the window. And I think it's hard to explain, but the best scenario I can give you is when a couple gets old together, right? You see the cute little old couple on the bench or at the grocery store. There's an element of love that you just understand for them, right? It's no longer about necessarily looks or how hot they are, or how magical their bedroom experience is. It's really about you understand, no, they're in it for love for one another and for taking those final steps that we have in life. And when you're diagnosed with breast cancer, metastatic breast cancer, it felt exactly the same way. I've often expressed to some people that, the day Lisa was diagnosed with stage 4 was the day that we became an 80-year-old married couple. And we were no longer husband and wife. We were patient and caretaker. We were scheduler and patient. We were transporter and driver and patient. We were financial advisor and patient. We were therapist and patient. We were, videographer and photographer and memory maker and patient. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but for anybody that is going through it, it is something that you have to be fully aware of. When you're giving a stage 4 diagnosis, the clock is ticking. You don't necessarily know how long and you don't know when. And to be fair, that's every relationship. You don't know when it's going to end, which is why you should treasure all of them and work through whatever situations you have. But the reality is when you've been given a stage 4 diagnosis, you're on a clock and everything changes. Things that maybe were important are no longer important. With Lisa, it was memories with the kids. It was memories with her nephews and her friends and her brother. All of these things that became priority number 1. And even from my perspective, they now became my priority 1. Work was no longer on the list. It's tough to say. I loved my team. I loved the people that I worked with and for, and I wanted to be everything for them, but I couldn't. Lisa was number 1, the girls were number 2, and everyone else, including my parents, including my friends, including, her parents, everybody else became way down the list. Everything else became way down the list. Home projects. And that's what I mean by your marriage is over. And I think the other thing too, and I'll talk this in another episode, but when you're the person that's not going through it, you have to put your mindset elsewhere. You can't constantly be on the roller coaster that your loved one is on, because it's nonstop for them. And in the back of your mind, you start the clock as well. Lisa battled breast cancer for 5 years, metastatic breast cancer for 3.5. And I would be lying to you if I told you that there weren't plenty of nights. Well, I know she was worried about what medication she was on and the side effects and how she was going to feel. I was worried about what happens next. I was worried about the girls. I was worried about myself. I was worried about future relationships. And what does that look like? And those are the things that when people ask you how you're doing, you lie and you say, oh, I'm fine. And I'm working through with them. Most people that are in a married relationship aren't thinking about the next phases of life without their partner. And when you get diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, your marriage is over and you start to think about everything else. For the person going through it, They're worried about their life. They're worried about their legacy. They're worried about all those things that they wanted to do and the fear of death. And that is absolutely true. And for the person that's going to be living through it, first, you kind of die right then and there because you can't be the same person you were. Or you can find yourself in a situation that you don't want to necessarily be in. You know, I mentioned earlier on that divorce doesn't necessarily increase because of metastatic breast cancer, but I can guarantee you 100% you look differently at your spouse than you did before. And you have to make a choice. And the choice is, do you die a little on the inside and put everything that you have ambition for and everything that you wanted to the side for them? Or does it overwhelm you as well and you don't want to lose yourself and you find comfort in other places and in other people? Look, it sounds very cruel to say it, and I get it from the outside looking in, but I absolutely can understand. Going through what I went through, I can absolutely understand how marriages fall apart during a metastatic breast cancer diagnosis. Because there's a lot you're balancing. You're balancing them, you're balancing yourself, you're balancing families, you're balancing things that you didn't think you were going to have to deal with for the next 40 to 50 to 60 years. And if you're even a little bit older, it still puts a lot of things that you were thinking 10, 15, 20 years from now you deal with. It now puts it full forward and front and center. So that's it for today. You know, just reminder that going through metastatic breast cancer is incredibly complicated, and it's something that you live with every single day, every single minute. And it's not only the person that's going through it and the battle that they have, but it's everybody around them, including their spouses. There are times that I often said it felt like when Lisa gave birth to the girls. Everybody would ask how the baby was doing. Everybody else would ask how Lisa was doing. Nobody asked how I was doing. And battling cancer was no different. And to be fair, people did ask, but you lie. You lie about how you actually feel, because it really doesn't matter. And anything that you say that isn't focused on the person that you love makes you seem like a selfish bastard. It makes you seem like a prick, even though the reality is you're a person too. So yes, your marriage does end and everything becomes different. Remember to do your part and donate to places that are fighting metastatic breast cancer. I've been posting metaviver.org. There are a couple of others out there. And don't get me wrong, the other places aren't bad. I just know for certain that they are working on stage 4 and fighting that. Let's get out there. Let's save the boobies, whatever you want to call it. But more importantly, let's just make sure other people don't have to go through this in the future. We're losing too many wives, mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, for something that we raise a lot of money for and we put a lot of pink towards it, but all that money's not going exactly where it needs to. So make sure you're donating, and I'll see you tomorrow with another Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Month Day.